will go sky high. So my question is, are you ready to fire Tim Kaine? And we're all going to do it. And let me tell you something, nobody ever think, wow, Corey Stewart's too conservative. He's too pro-Trump, yada, yada, yada. Well, you know what? I am very conservative. And I do support President Trump because our economy is getting better. Things are improving in this country. And they're improving in Fairfax County, and they're improving in Loudoun County, and Arlington and Alexandria, and in Prince William County, and every other county across this state. The signs of economic growth. We're going to get it to continue, and that is why we are going to win Fairfax County on November 6th. The Democrats are under some delusion. I don't know what they're smoking. A lot of them do smoke a lot of different stuff. They're under some delusion that there's going to be a blue wave on November 6th.
Not a chance.
They're completely out of their minds. On November 6th, folks, together with all of you helping, and by the way, I need your support. I really need your checks. I need your hard-earned money because, you know, I can't run this campaign with no money. So if you can help us out, I'd appreciate it. You can do it online as well at CoreyStewart.com. But together, working hard, all of us together working hard, we are going to take back America, we're going to take back Virginia, and yes, we're going to keep America great. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chairman Stewart, for a really good speech. Like Mr. Stewart just said, his phone number is really good and going to the right direction. But nowadays, he really needs everybody's help, especially financially. So if you would like to help Chairman Stewart, please write the check to Stewart for Senate today. We would really appreciate it. And then there's some lady in green over there is waiting for you. And then please again help Mr. Stewart financially, and also if you can volunteer anytime, any day, please sign up because if we would like to win this coming November 6th, we really full force come out and help Chairman Stewart and his campaign, and also the other candidate, the Republican candidate. So thank you.
Thank you.
And next, before we will have a question and answer with Chairman Stewart for 15 minutes, I would like to ask one Vietnamese citizen. She would like to have one quick statement. And please, Mrs. Yến Ngọc Nguyễn, can you please come? Thank you. Please help me welcome Mrs. Ngọc Nguyễn.
Xin chào tất cả quý vị. I teach Vietnamese, but let me speak in Vietnamese. And tôi thấy rằng trong thời gian qua tôi tại đây tình hình rất là nghiêm ngặt và tổng thống Donald Trump luôn luôn bị đánh một cách tàn nhẫn. Và người ta nói tại sao phải như thế, thì người ta bảo tại vì đảng Dân Chủ và Hillary muốn trả thù vì thua, và còn hơn nữa là họ đang muốn lo cái chuyện lấy dân, muốn lo cái chuyện là về bầu cử cái tháng 11 này. Nhưng mà theo tôi, qua kinh nghiệm sống trong thời kỳ năm 60 và 70 ở Việt Nam, tôi thấy không đúng. Chính ra ông cựu tổng thống và Hussein Obama đã chưa làm xong nhiệm vụ đối với tàu cộng, đối với Hồi giáo, nên họ đã cố ý, ông Obama đã cố ý để vùi dập những người nào mà lo cho đất nước Mỹ thật tốt. Và vì thế cho nên mỗi khi mà ông Trump thắng đội tàu cộng thì ông Trump bị Obama đánh rất nặng. Và vì thế cho nên tôi mong rằng tất cả chúng ta đây, vì yêu nước, vì lo cho Tổ quốc, hãy kể cả những người ở trong đảng Dân Chủ, hãy vì Tổ quốc mà bỏ phiếu cho tất cả những người thuộc đảng Cộng Hòa. Và hôm nay nên hứa là sẽ bầu cho ông Corey Stewart làm nghị sĩ ở Virginia, vì có đảng Cộng Hòa mạnh, có tổng thống tốt thì tàu cộng sẽ bị tiêu diệt. Và khi Việt Nam cộng sản mất một thằng anh mất dạy đó thì dân Việt Nam chúng ta sẽ giải thể đảng cộng sản ở Việt Nam. Và tôi xin I wanted to say that because of the media, we lose our country in Vietnam. So be careful and don't listen too much to media, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Nguyen. I'm sorry because we ran out of time. So basically, Mrs. Nguyen just asked everybody, encourage everybody to come out and vote on November 6th to help President Trump, because he's being attacked everywhere in the media and the Democrat, the liberal, everywhere. So we really need everybody to come out to vote to help like candidates like Chairman Stewart to get in and then help support President Trump's policy. So next, I would like to ask Mr. Stewart to come up here, and then we will have like a 15-minute question and answer. But to be able to have like many questions and for Mr. Stewart to answer, so when you ask question, please limit it to 30 seconds. And then please don't make any statement, or we can do statement later when we have time. But now it's like Mr. Stewart will answer any of your questions. Just make it short and simple. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Auntie Bill. Thank you. Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. One of the things I support Mr. Trump and also Republican is like I stand up for the flag. I respect those who fight for freedom. We've been in the communism. We know that one of the ways they plan on the head, the future by brainwash the students. So right now I see in the college, in the school, they start to immerse the socialism into the education. They try to brainwash the students. Can you do anything about that? I respect the freedom of speech, but I also would like to ask, they have to respect the difference. Right now they try by any means to avoid the conservative voice and not just different voice. So with you in the position, can you do anything to the school system, especially in Fairfax? Can have that. Thank you.
Yes. No, I think you're absolutely right. And the question is, what can we do about the socialism that's being brainwashed into our kids' heads, in the school system, and especially in our universities, right? And so, if you think about it, what makes this even worse is that this is being subsidized by our tax dollars, right? And it's time to end that. It's time to end that. The way we're going to end that is this, is that the United States Department of Education was started in the early 1970s to help various school districts and also with regard to higher ed This money started going into higher ed. And today, if you're an institution of higher learning, you're accredited by a partnering agency with a partnering organization through the United States Department of Education. Okay, so the problem with this is it's Washington, D.C. telling universities across this country what it takes to be accredited. We need to get rid of that system altogether. And there's something that was submitted by Senator Mike Lee. It's called the HERO Act. And what it would do is it would take the power of accreditation and remove it from the federal government, send it down to the state governments, where the states can work together with chambers of commerce, with business associations, and in this way there's an actual connection between what the needs of the workforce are, what the needs of employers are, and what education our kids are getting. That's, right now there's a complete disconnect. There's absolutely no relationship between what the universities are teaching and what the needs of the workforce are. That needs to be fixed. And when we do this, we're going to be able to get rid of really stupid courses that are providing no benefit for all of our kids. And it's not just a matter of debt. Our kids are graduating with all this debt from these universities. Their minds are getting filled with a lot of really ludicrous liberal ideas. But it's also their time. And so what I've gotten in front of the universities, and I said, look, and I looked at the students up there, and I said, if you get a degree in gender studies, you're not going to get a job when you get out of school. That's got to be fixed, and that is what we're going to do. We're going to stop subsidizing all of this liberal garbage that is being fed into our kids' heads by these there's literally people that are really much more close to Marxism in our universities than there are close to, having democratic ideas. Democratic with a small d, so that's one thing we can do to fix it. But it is bad, and the thing is though, remember this though too, is that a lot of times when you're young and you're living at a university and somebody else is paying for it, it's very easy to be very liberal. But when you get out and you get that paycheck and the government is taking more than 50% of your income in one way, shape, or the other, suddenly you become conservative. And that's going to happen to this generation too. It will. Yes, ma'am.
How do we answer friends or acquaintances when they use the word white supremacist about you?
Yeah, well, so this is, just remind them of this. And that is that the liberals have nothing to go on anymore. Nothing. And if you look at the liberal philosophy, it's always failed. And so, when President Trump was elected in 2016, of course, what did the liberals call him? They called him a racist. This is not new, they called Ronald Reagan a racist. They call any conservative a racist. And there's absolutely no foundation to it. So you need to just respond with the absolute truth. That this is a party, the Republican Party, and President Trump, that we are for individual freedom. We are for freedom, we're for lower taxes, we're for a strong defense, we're for strong national security, we're for strong a border. I've been governing for the last 12 years the most diverse jurisdiction in all of Northern Virginia, the first minority jurisdiction. And I get a lot of votes from the Asian community, the Hispanic community, the African American community. I would never have been able to do that if I was any of those things that they called me. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, pardon me if I sound cynical, but I noticed that people who run for office, when they run, they are very with the people.
Yeah.
But once they're in office, then they need for re-election and all those things, they need money.
Yeah.
And therefore, pretty soon they give in to the money elites who are controlling us. I mean, I don't believe in there's two parties. I believe that there is a money elite that is controlling all of us.
And so pretty soon, once you're in office, not you in general, but in general, then they have to answer to those people like the Chamber of Commerce or the Koch brothers on our conservative side or Soros on the other side. How can you keep yourself from that? Would you pledge that you will not fall into that? Because I've seen, technically smoking Rubio, sorry to throw out names, but even they have to give in to the money.
Well, let me tell you.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, the question is, how do you keep from having the money, the big money influence you
Correct.
once you're elected? And because there are a lot of
Own
people.
you, not influence.
Yes.
Own you.
Oh, well, yes, right. It's more than
It's
influence.
not
It's like,
influence, it's a, yeah.
so let me just say this. I've been in office for 12 years. Longer than that, almost 15, but I've been chairman of the board for 12 years. And you do have to raise money. There's no question about it. But you always have to make that distinction. Now, the thing is, with me, you know how someone's going to act based upon how they've acted in the past. And at every single critical juncture in my political career, when I was faced with a very tough decision on a controversial issue, I always went with the people. Every single time. And that has meant, it has definitely cost me a lot of donors. It has cost me support from other politicians. And because so many politicians, as soon as the slightest hint, this is what Senator Black just mentioned, the slightest hint of controversy, and they run for the hills. They get scared. They won't stand up. I've always stood up. And on the issue of illegal immigration in 2007, and I had a lot of money interests, and others were telling me you should back down, don't do it, etc. Well, we proceeded anyway. It was the right thing to do, and by the way, we've sent over for deportation more than 8,000 criminal illegal aliens so far under that policy. 8,000. So that's what I've done. But I do want to let you know this, and that is, I'm a human being. When you elect me to the United States Senate, I want you to keep my feet to the fire too. I want you to do that, because I need to hear. And I need to be reminded every single day about the people who sent me there to represent you. And I'm going to say just something about Tim Kaine right here. Do you know he's one of the top 10 recipients of major money from outside of Virginia? Yeah. Senator Kaine is bankrolled by liberal Democrats in California and New York. And that is why many people, even up in the Senate staff call Tim Kaine New York's third senator. He does everything that Chuck Schumer asks him to do. He's a pawn of the far left liberals who finance his campaigns. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, thank you for answering my question. I'm only 12, so this is my first time actually being here. So with the ongoing popularity of socialism by, Ocasio-Cortez and other Democrats, what's your opinion on how to fight the ongoing popularity or surge of socialism in Congress? Yeah.
So, well, thank you. But by the way, that means in 6 years, you're going to be able to vote to re-elect me for the United States Senate, right? And it's a really good question. The question is, how are we going to fight this creeping socialism in America? It's about education. So many people in this room know what socialism leads to, what communism leads to. I know as well, because I was in Poland in 1990, right after the communist government fell. And all these young people, and by the way, if you speak to anybody who is from Eastern Europe or the former Soviet Union, and you're going to find a conservative. You know why? Because they lived under socialism. They lived under communism. Talk to the people of Venezuela today. Look what has happened to a country in Venezuela, which is one of the wealthiest. It's got some of the biggest natural resource reserves in all of Latin America, and yet it is desperately poor today. Why? Because of socialism. Socialism leads to misery for people. And it's just a matter of, for these socialists, when they come up, what we have to really do is give them a one-way airline ticket down to Venezuela. Down to Venezuela, live under socialism and see how great it is. They're going to find out is terrible. You're going to find out it's really terrible. When I was in Poland in 1990, the students said, you know, when the communists came, when the socialists came to Poland, they told us that they were going to make us all equal. And they did. Equally poor and miserable. That's what socialism means. It's a matter of education. You know, there's a lot of people who've never seen anything, they've never done anything. And they're on the streets and they're yelling about capitalism being bad and they're for socialism. They have no clue of what they're talking about. We just have to work on them one by one to open their eyes, because at the end of the day, the truth always wins. So, one more question? One more question, because the food is ready and I don't want to get in between you and the food. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, quick one. I believe that you and I, many of people here, we are very supportive of President Trump's zero tolerance against illegal aliens. However, I believe that message somehow does not go into many immigrant community very well. In fact, hello. Let me repeat that I believe that many of us here, like you, we do support President Trump's zero tolerance against illegal aliens. I do too. However, I believe that that message somehow does not uniformly seeping through many parts of the immigrant community, either Vietnamese American community, Hispanics, or Middle East community, immigrant community. So, and many part of the immigrant believe that conservatives is against immigrant period. Is a no illegal aliens in that sentence, in that message. So my question to you is there any strategy to make sure that we make clear distinction between, on the one side, legal immigrant who contribute a lot to the wealth of this country, and the other side, illegal aliens who came here as a burden for the country and create a lot of problems for us.
Sorry, we only have one mic.
Okay. Well, this is, of course, the problem is that you have a very dishonest press. And, you know, whether it's the newspaper or CNN or MSNBC, but they're all so much, and they always, what you said is absolutely true, they always mix up. When we talk about illegal immigrants, people who have broken the law and entered into this country, and then, but what you have, of course, is that Republicans, and, you know, just average Americans support immigration. We know immigration is good for America, but it must be lawful. Must be lawful. And I do believe that most people do understand, and I've seen this in Prince William County, they understand. Even Hispanics, you would think, would be against what we've done to crack down on illegal immigration. They understand that immigration is good provided that it's lawful. We just have to keep working on that. We have to keep that message out there. We're not ever going to be able to control the CNN and MSNBC, but I think people are beginning to wake up. And now more than ever, people can communicate through social media. We don't rely so much on television anymore, and the radio. We can communicate through social media. But we have to keep that message very, very clear, that we have nothing against legal immigration. Legal, lawful immigration is good for America. Illegal immigration is not. And we just have to keep repeating that message. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. I appreciate all of your time today.
Okay, now the food is ready, so please help yourself with the buffet line over there. And as a reminder, again, Chairman Stewart need a lot of help, especially financially. So if you would be able, please give him a check or cash. Check payable to Stewart for Senate. Right now, Mr. Stewart and then Mr. Dick Black is available for media interviews. So.
Lady, go ahead. Lady.